Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into After Effects Tech Desk. Today we're going to talk about creating shape layers that can automatically size to a piece of text. This can be useful for creating any kind of text super for videos or lower thirds. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other creative uses too, but I typically use it for creating supers for text. So I'm going to start just by creating a new composition. Doesn't really matter what size. Mine's 1080p, 24 frames a second. So I'm going to create a piece of text here. Hello world. And we'll put this right in the middle. That is kind of important for this for now. And we'll just have that right there. I'm going to offset the anchor point so that it sits right in the middle. And then I'm going to double click shape layer. That'll make it a full size rectangle. I'm going to twirl down here and Alt or Option click the stopwatch on size so that we can plug in our dynamic size into this, because that's what our goal is, to change this to automatically be that size so that if we change our text it just kind of does that also. Okay, so how do we do that? What I like to do first is just kind of start by trying to get this to work with the existing numbers, and I generally like to put things into their own variables first. So I'm going to separate out width and height. And sometimes I'll even do this where I even just kind of get the main stuff sort of figured out. So that's the main format. We have our width that we're going to declare something. For right now, this is going to be value 0, which is going to be the 1748 or whatever that says. And then down here, this will be value 1. All right, and if we click off of this, hopefully this should work. Great. Okay, so now if we do this, change the numbers there, it's all good, right? Works, but that's not exactly what we want at all. So we got the format correct. Now I can start going in and changing and sort of linking things up differently. So I'm just going to highlight value 0 here. And all I'm going to do here is we're going to drag it to the text layer. And this could be dot layer. I think we could also put in layer 1 here, and that would work. But for this purpose, we are just going to leave it with that. Then we're going to use an argument called source rect at time. So just hit tab to use their syntax, then you don't risk any sort of misspelling. It's a nice new feature. They've made it a little bit easier to use expressions inside After Effects with the kind of what do they call it? Content aware suggestions. Okay, so we're going to take the height. No, we're going to take, we don't want height, we want width from here. Okay. And I'm actually going to just end up copying that whole thing. And we'll do height here. Make sure to change this variable back. Okay, that looks like it worked. Snapped back. Okay. So there we go. Totally dynamic. That's working, but not exactly what we want still. obviously we want some padding. So all we have to do here, this is just a number. All this code is just adding up to, you can actually see what the value is here. It's actually 1340.3 and 161. So if you just add to that simple math plus 100 and add, let's say 200 to that, then we have some padding here. So that's one way to do it. That works. I often am doing a lot of these, and I like to kind of make it a little bit easier to access. So what I will do is use add some sliders. For that, I go to, let me pull that out so that you can see. It's under expression controls here. And there's a lot of different expression controls, but these are all worth exploring. And I think I'll end up making videos on all of them. A slider is the one I use the most for sure. It's basically just a number. It doesn't do anything off the bat, but you can rename it and you can make it connect to your expressions. So here I'll put in width. I'm going to duplicate it. Hit enter right on the name, put in height. And if I go back in here, hit UU to bring those up. Now all I need to do is highlight the 100, use this pick whip here, and drag it up to width. So now that's going to snap back because this is set to 0. But if I start to drag that or just type in 100 here again, that works. So I'll do the same thing with 200. Or for the height, I'm sorry. Punch in 200 there, and now I have a totally dynamic with padding. And it does work with this. You might just have to get in, if you have multiple lines, you might just have to offset your anchor point, and that's exactly why I did it with the anchor point before, because instead of position, it can get a little bit weird, because what I like to do, especially if I have it in a bunch in a scene, I will tie them both to a null, and then I can move that thing around. So if you scale it, it still works. I think it does not work if you scale the text itself. So if you change the character size, it will. So you can see this can be really dynamic. And to take it one step even further, let's say I'm going to go into project, I'll say call this title 1, I can duplicate that, and this will be Billy Joe. Okay, so now those are all set up. Let's say though the art director comes back or something, doesn't want that. Now we could easily, we have these driven to these two height parameters, so it's easier than going into the code, but you know, might have quite a few of these. So what I like to do sometimes is create a whole new comp called controls, and I'll make a new null there, or solid, or whatever. And on here, I'll go back to the slider control, add a new one. And here, I'm going to call this, say, width, and I'll make it unique. So I'll call it master. We'll call that height master. Okay, and we'll just go back with our numbers from before, what we said. And to make this easy, I'm going to lock that there. Come back down to title 1. And now what I often might do is just delete the second one, depending on how many I've made, so that I can get the whole rig working in one first before I start duplicating. So I've got my controls here. Now I'm going to link the one comp to the master. I'll link the other slider to the other master. And now this master is driving this. So if we go through here, create another title, make that Billy Joe again. Let's go ahead and make Bobby Sue and Fred, of course. So now, if we go into our master controls again and say we want 40 on the height and want real small, it's that way on all of them. So now you have a super dynamic rig. You could continue with the controls if you wanted to add some other things, like let's say a color control. You could see how you could change the color also in that same manner. So copy that, and what you can do in here now is hit right click, copy expression only. Copy expression only. And then if you go into here, select that, paste it, and it'll paste that same thing into the color there. Now, if you decided that you actually like blue better, and you want it a little bit well, clearly we didn't paste it there yet, so you can see how easy that is. And I have a super dynamic rig, and to take it even one step further, if you really wanted to have it more accessible without locking the effect controls here, you could simply add those to your essential graphics. Just call that BG color, height, padding. Now, not only do you have something that you can use, but you have something that is really easy to hand off to somebody else, really easy to use over and over again for your own projects. Like if we switch this to a different font, it resizes. So this is a good one to have on hand. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I plan to be releasing a lot more of these videos with the tips on expressions and creating rigs, and I just really enjoy doing this inside After Effects and think there are a lot of powerful tools that I'd love to share with the community. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and I'll try to answer those for you. And if you have any ideas about future videos or questions that you'd like answered in a tutorial or tips video, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks and have a great day.